I know there is still an attitude, and I talked about this in the mental health episodes in the tech industry where it's it's this sort of I called it the Ferengi viewpoint if you're familiar with Star Trek, but it's essentially this thing where we're like, oh, instead of worrying about fixing exploitation, let's be the exploiters. Instead of um, complaining, oh, our working conditions aren't good, you're supposed to just go start your own company. And so many programmers, I think, get caught up in this trap of like, oh, I don't really love what I do, but the solution is I'm going to save up some money or, whatever it takes. I'm going to start my own company and I'm going to be on top. And you don't frame it this way, but essentially what you're saying is I'm going to become that boss that I don't like currently. And, maybe you think you'll do things differently. I suspect we often find that isn't how things shake out. But that's also not a world I want to live in. And I think it's important to discuss and talk about as an industry that as much as we might all want to start the next Google or Facebook or whatever it might be and get rich, it's just not how things work. The reality is not all of us can do that. If if everyone is the CEO of their own Google, who's going to do the actual work? Who's going to buy this stuff? That's just not realistic. It's capitalism. The way things work is a very small minority end up at the top, end up successful, end up making all the money. And it's just not reasonable to think that all of us can end up there. So that's why I'm not in the camp of like, oh no, everyone just needs to start a startup. That's just unrealistic. And the other thing is, not everyone wants to. Not everyone's good at it. There are so many reasons why I think that's a flawed line of thinking, but it's so popular in software, at least, and I think especially where I've been living for the past 10 years in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Silicon Valley. That's, startup central, essentially. And that's absolutely the attitude. And I think it sucks. I don't think it's a healthy attitude. I think it only serves to further enrich the people that end up on top, and the vast majority of us end up just dissatisfied for much of our lives.